So after the man and the woman left the garden, they had kids, and their kids had kids until the world got pretty much populated. And some of the people, they followed God and did what God wanted them to do. But some of the other people, they didn't follow God. And they actually started following and worshiping these idols. Now, they thought these idols were gods, but they were actually fake gods. And they weren't even just fake gods. Those disobedient spirits, that's who they were really worshiping. So the people were really confused about who God actually was. So there was a guy, a spokesman that God sent to call the people back to him, and his name was Elijah. And so Elijah went around telling people to only worship the one true God. Well, the king at that time was this really bad guy named Ahab. He was so bad, he had actually built a place to worship one of these fake gods named Baal. And so the people were so confused because their king was telling them to worship this other god, but the God's spokesman was saying another thing. And they were so confused. And King Ahab, well, he just couldn't stand Elijah. But God kept him safe and hid him from King Ahab for several years. Well, finally the time came. And God was like, okay, Elijah, it's time for you to talk to King Ahab. So Elijah went and he sent a message. He said, go tell King Ahab that I want to talk to him. And King Ahab came right away. And when he saw Elijah, he said, you troublemaker. And Elijah said, I'm not the troublemaker. You're the troublemaker. You're the one that is leading God's people to worship this fake god, Baal. And then he turned to the people and he's like, you got to decide. If Baal is God, worship him. But if God is God, worship God. Stop flip-flopping between two things. And people didn't have anything to say to that. So then Elijah was like, all right, we're going to have a contest. Get all those shamans of Baal, all 450 of them, and we'll all go to Mount Carmel and bring 2 bulls. And we'll get them all ready to sacrifice them. We'll cut them up, we'll put them on the wood, on the altars, but we won't set fire to the wood. And then you call on your God, I'll call on my God, and we'll see who the true God is. And the people agreed. So they went and they had the bulls and the shamans of Baal, and Elijah let them go first. So they got their bull all ready, put it on the altar, and then they started calling out to their God, Baal, Baal, answer us, answer us. Nothing. No response. So then they started cutting themselves because that's what they used to do when they called out to their God. And so blood is running down and they're calling out to their God, Baal, Baal, answer us. Nothing. So then Elijah, he's like, he is a god, right? Maybe he's gone to sleep and you should yell louder and wake him up. And so they just kept calling out to him, Baal, Baal, and they're dancing around and cutting themselves. Nothing. No answer. And then it got to be later in the day, the time that God had set up for sacrifices. And Elijah, he rebuilt an altar that had been there before to the one true God. So Elijah rebuilds the altar, he puts the wood on there, he puts the bull on there, and then he has a trench dug all around the altar, and he has people bring water and just dump it over everything, the stones, the wood, the meat. This happens 3 times until the trench is just overflowing with water. And then Elijah prayed, and he said, God, please show these people that you are God and that I am your servant. And immediately fire came down from heaven and it burned up the meat and the wood and the stones and it licked up all the water in the trench. And then the people knew that God was God.